Okay, you're scrolling online and it feels like everyone's got the secret to getting rich quick, right? The noise is just overwhelming. So today we're gonna cut through all of that. We're gonna distill the essential wisdom from Pranjal Kamra, one of India's original and most trusted finance creators, to figure out what the real path to building wealth actually looks like.
Let's just start right here with this quote. I mean, think about it. We see that one person who made a fortune on some crazy, risky bet, and they're all over social media. But what we don't see are the other 999 people who tried the exact same thing and lost everything. This is called survivorship bias, and it's a massive mental trap that makes us think incredibly risky things are way safer than they are.
So here's how we're gonna break it all down. First, we'll pull back the curtain on the world of financial influencers. Then, we'll get into the big debates every investor has to face. After that, we're gonna tackle the modern traps, the hype-driven stuff. And finally, we'll land on the simple and, kind of boring path to actually building wealth. Look, before you take financial advice from anyone online, you have to ask a really simple question. How are they getting paid? So let's dive into the world of fin-influencers and really understand the hidden incentives that are driving the content you see. You know what's fascinating is how much the game has changed. Back in 2017, you could stand out with some pretty basic financial knowledge, but now it's a whole different story. It's technically easier to make content with AI and all, but the competition is so fierce that you need some serious expertise just to get noticed. And that competition leads us to the single most important question you can ask of any online guru. How do they actually make their money? Seriously, the answer to this question tells you everything you need to know about whether you can trust their advice. And here it is. There are basically two roads an influencer can go down. The legit path is ads and promoting actual platforms. But then there's this darker path. It's filled with sketchy stock promotions, high payout crypto deals, and even flat out illegal pump and dump schemes. Knowing where their paycheck comes from is your first line of defense. All right, so now that we've got a handle on the messenger, let's talk about the message. Let's get into the foundational choices that every single one of us has to make as an investor. Are you a trader or are you an investor? And where should your money go? Stocks or real estate? Don't let the flashy Lamborghini post fool you. The cold hard data from regulators like SEBI tells a pretty brutal story. For every 100 people who get into retail trading, a staggering 95 of them lose money. The odds are just massively stacked against you. So why is it so hard? Why do so many people lose? Well, you've got to remember, trading is a zero-sum game. And you're not just playing against some other person sitting at their laptop, no way. You are going head-to-head with institutions like JP Morgan, with their armies of PhDs and their supercomputers. It's not a fair fight. Okay, so what about stocks versus real estate? Here's the thing people miss. It's not really about which one gives better returns. Over the long haul, they're actually pretty similar. The real question is about you. Which one fits your personality? Stocks are super easy to panic sell when the market dips, but real estate, it's illiquid, which can actually be a good thing. It forces you to be disciplined and think long-term. All right, now let's talk about the two areas where hype is at an all-time high and where investors can get into the most trouble: cryptocurrencies and IPOs. It is so important to understand what you're getting into here. To navigate this stuff safely, we need to get one core concept down pat. It's called intrinsic value. Just think of it as an asset's anchor to reality. It's what that asset is worth based on the actual cash it can generate. It's what separates real investing from pure gambling. So, that brings us to the big question. What's the intrinsic value of crypto? A business generates profits, a property generates rent, but most cryptocurrencies, well, they don't generate any cash flow at all. So you literally can't calculate their intrinsic value. And here's the bottom line. If you can't value something based on the cash it produces, then its price is based on one thing and one thing only: what the next person is willing to pay for it. That's not investing, that is pure speculation. It's the greater fool theory in action. IPOs are another area packed with hype, right? The chance to get in on the ground floor of the next big thing. But the global long-term data tells a very different story. A year after going public, 7 out of 10 companies are trading below their initial listing price. And this quote just nails the reason why. An IPO is really just a big sale. The company insiders, the founders, they are the sellers. And what does any seller want? They want the highest price possible for what they're selling. They're not trying to give you, the retail investor, a bargain. So after we strip away all the hype, all the trading, all the speculation, what are we left with? Well, we're left with the simple, timeless, and effective truths of personal finance. This might not be sexy, but believe me, this is where real, lasting wealth is actually built.
You should probably write this down. It's a golden rule. In finance, if something sounds exciting and flashy, it's probably dangerous. The real work, the stuff that actually moves the needle, it happens with the boring stuff. The insurance, the retirement plans, the steady investments.
Think of this as your financial fortress. You have to build the foundation before you can build the castle. You start with term insurance to protect your family and health insurance to protect your savings. Then you build an emergency fund for life's curveballs. Only after that foundation is rock solid do you start building up with retirement plans and goal-based investing.
So what's the biggest mistake most of us make? It's this. We treat the stock market like it's a giant casino. We buy a stock ticker, we cross our fingers, and we just hope it goes up. That's not a strategy. That's just gambling.
The solution, the real key to unlocking success, is a simple but incredibly powerful shift in your mindset. It's not about what you do, it's about how you think. And it starts with this.
This is it. This is the whole secret. You're not buying a stock ticker. You are buying a small piece of a real-life business. The moment you start thinking like a business owner instead of a gambler, everything changes. Your patience changes, your perspective changes, and that's when you start building real wealth.
So I'll leave you with this final question to really think about. What game are you playing? Are you trying to win the lottery, or are you trying to build a legacy? Your answer to that question will define your entire financial journey. The choice is yours.